I'm Gen X, born into the 80s with that specific kind of freedom people argue about now. And I'm not saying that like it was better, I'm saying it like it shaped my brain. The video I just watched hit because it describes something real. We grew up learning self-navigation before the world started assisting everyone. Pew literally calls generations analytical constructs, meaning they're useful for patterns, but they're not a perfect box. And I agree with that. I'm not trying to stereotype anybody, I'm trying to understand what built my internal compass. Back then, adults trusted kids in ways that sound insane now. Riding in the car and steering from a parent's lap. Being left alone in the car while they ran into a store. Not because it was safe, because it was normal. That kind of childhood forces a brain to practice one thing over and over. Pay attention and figure it out. And the latchkey thing wasn't just a vibe. It tracked with real-life changes. More moms worked, more two-worker households, more time where kids handled the after-school hours on their own. The BLS was writing about working mothers and family patterns in the early 80s like it was a defining social shift. That's the environment that created keys around the neck, microwaving snacks, doing homework alone, and learning how to manage boredom without an algorithm. That boredom mattered. It's where I learned the first version of deep work before I even had language for it. And for me, personally, the cleanest example is flying alone as a kid. I was an 80s kid flying solo, and flight attendants would hand me wings and a deck of cards like it was a rite of passage. That's not just a cute memory. Psychologically, it's autonomy training under pressure. A child alone in an airport has to scan signs, follow sequences, watch adults, read tone, behave, regulate emotion, and keep moving forward. It's like life, compressed into a terminal. That's what I mean by internal compass. Not mystical, just trained. Act 2. Now, I'm going to break down the psychology, the parts I can actually hang research on, using the exact kinds of examples we did in the 80s. 1. Autonomy plus competence, motivation, and identity. There's a well-known framework in psychology called self-determination theory. It says humans have 3 basic psychological needs: autonomy, competence, and relatedness. And when those are met, motivation and well-being go up. So when Gen X kids rode bikes everywhere, fixed their own bike chains, figured out the neighborhood by landmarks, navigated social situations face-to-face, made plans without texting, walked into a friend's house and had to talk to their parents first, we were practicing autonomy, I decide, competence, I can, and relatedness, I belong. That combo builds confidence in a way that doesn't need constant external validation. 2. Cause and effect learning, real consequences. A lot of 80s childhood was consequence-based learning. If the fort boards didn't overlap, rain got in. If you missed your show, it was gone if you forgot your homework. There was no undo if you mouthed off. The feedback was immediate. Sometimes too immediate, and I'm not romanticizing that. The point is, the world taught cause, effect directly. That trains judgment and timing. 3. Mechanical intuition. The world wasn't a black box. We had to troubleshoot things physically. TV antennas and rabbit ears, VCR tracking, unplug it, plug it back in, technical tap on the TV, wiggling cables until the picture worked. That's not just nostalgia. That's a mental habit. Systems thinking. You learn that a problem can be diagnosed, not just complained about. 4. Attention and the analog brain. Focus was forced. Here's a modern contrast that matters. Research on media multitasking found that heavy media multitaskers were more susceptible to interference from irrelevant stimuli. In the 80s, we didn't have 20 tabs open in our pocket. If I wanted information, I went to a library, used a card catalog, looked things up manually, and stayed with one thread at a time. That's not automatically better, but it does train a different attention style, fewer rapid context switches. And there's another famous finding that lines up with this shift. The Google effects on memory research showed people tend to remember where to find information when they expect it will be saved, sometimes more than remembering the information itself. That's cognitive offloading. Not bad, just different. It means the hard drive isn't always the brain anymore. The brain becomes more like a search and retrieval manager. Gen X got a lot of forced reps in storing things internally. Phone numbers, directions, schedules, lyrics, street layouts. Again, not superior humans, just different training. 5. Latchkey hours. Independence can build skills, but outcomes are mixed. This part matters. Research on after-school self-care and after-school arrangements shows mixed findings. It's not a simple latchkey, shocker good story. Some kids gained responsibility, some kids got lonely, got into trouble, or carried stress too early. It depended on age, neighborhood safety, temperament, and whether there were supportive adults around. So when I say Gen X built different, I'm not crowning us. I'm naming that we were exposed to a style of development that leaned hard on independence, and that can create strength and scars. 6. Resilience. Stress inoculation, but only in the right dose. There's a concept called stress inoculation, the idea that manageable stress can build coping capacity. Research reviews describe an inoculation-like effect when stress is moderate, not extreme. That explains something I feel in my bones. As a kid, I got used to small stressors, being bored, being lost for a minute, solving a problem without a parent swooping in. That built tolerance. But I'll say it again. This only works when it's not neglect and not danger. Moderate stress can train resilience. Overwhelming stress can traumatize. The dose matters. 7. Internal locus of control. The I can steer my life trait. A lot of resilience research ties into internal locus of control. The belief that my actions influence outcomes. And this is where my flying alone example really lands. When you have to navigate the world early, you start believing I can handle it, because you've had to. Research on resilience and stress processing repeatedly links outcomes to how people interpret and manage experiences, including perceived control. And that maps to my adult life. I'm obsessed with improving how I think, how I speak, how I learn, how I recover. That's internal compass behavior. Act 3. So what did I actually learn from this video? I learned that a lot of my style isn't random. When I communicate bluntly, when I prefer directness, when I don't need a ton of emotional decoration, when I want the why and the root, when I can sit alone and study instead of needing constant entertainment. That's not just personality, that's training. I was raised in an era where you met people in person, mall culture, paper routes, neighbors, phone calls with gatekeeper parents. You got feedback in real time, tone, posture, eye contact, consequences. You learned by doing forts, bikes, fixing things, getting lost and refining yourself. You understood scarcity of moments, miss the show, it's gone. And then later, I took that same mindset into aviation. Checklists, sequences, situational awareness, communication discipline. That's why the ATC mindset makes sense to me even outside flying. It's not cold, it's clean. Also, I want to keep this honest and intelligent. Generations are not destiny. There's active debate and research about how strong generational differences really are versus age effects and period effects, what the world is doing right now. So I'm not saying Gen X brains are superior. I'm saying the environment shaped what we practiced, and I can use that, because this is what I'm doing on my channel. I'm studying me while I teach what I'm learning. I'm taking the raw experience, childhood, flying, work, survival, and I'm translating it into concepts I can explain. That's meology. And if you're Gen X watching this, or you grew up adjacent to it, tell me what your internal compass training was. What was your version of flying alone, navigating the neighborhood, fixing the world with your hands, surviving boredom, learning timing? Drop it in the comments. And if this kind of psychology meets real-life breakdown is your thing, subscribe, because I'm going deeper and I'm not doing the surface-level talking points, okay?